Hello everyone, we are here with you at another video of History of English Literature. Today our topic is Anglo-Norman or Middle English period. We can also call it as Anglo-French period. Before going into the topic, I would like to request you that if you are visiting for the first time to my channel, please do watch the previous video, and for more updates do subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon so that you never miss an update. Okay, let's come to the topic. As I said that in previous lecture, Middle English period divided into three parts. In this video, we are going to see the first part and its historical background. The Anglo-Norman period. It was started after the Norman conquest. What is this Norman conquest? The conquest was 11th century invasion and occupying the land of England by an army made up of Normans, Flemish and French knights. These all are led by the Duke of Normandy, William the Conqueror. In this conquest, we can see many battles like Battle of Fulford, Battle of Stamford Bridge, so on. But most significant conquest battle was the Battle of Hastings. The Battle of Hastings is one of the important battle in English history. It was a fight between William, who is the Duke of Normandy, and Harold II, who is a King of England. In this battle, Harold II was killed and his force was defeated by the William. And obviously, the Anglo-Saxons phase of English history came to an end. Harold was the last king of this period, and this Anglo-Saxon period had ruled the land for over 600 years since Roman times. Finally, the William the Conqueror got the throne of England. He was crowned as the first Norman king of England. After this victory, the French became official language because Normans' dialect of ruling classes was French. Later, the Normans' dialect gradually blended with the Anglo-Saxon tongue, and this is the way that giving a birth of modern English. Means this is how the Middle English language formed. The Norman dialect mixed with Anglo-Saxon tongue, and this is how it became Anglo-Norman. Another important thing we have to remember for this period was the Crusades. The Crusades were a series of religious war that happened over roughly 200 years. This war happened to the eastern part of the world and European countries. The major objective of this war: recovering the Holy Land Jerusalem from Islamic rule and spread the Christianity throughout the eastern countries. And this war given a greater impact not only on Europe but also the entire world. One of the obvious impact of the Crusades was the amount of death it caused. It estimated the death toll from the Crusades was 2.6 millions just from the Western Europe. And there was a big theme in Crusades wars, the power of Pope. Remember, the Crusades were started by Pope Urban II, and of course throughout this 200 years we have all this religious favor. And these crusades also lead to the another trend, that is commerce and trade. It wasn't all fighting because these people go from the Western Europe to the Middle East and Holy Land, but on the way back to their country they also bought goods to trade. This is how the commerce and trade itself was fastened by the Crusades. In fact, by the end of the Crusades, as we get into the 14th century, Venice was considered as the richest and most powerful city in the Europe. And this was also given an end for the darkest time of Crusades war. How? They were also associated with learning. At the time, in a lot of ways, they were shepherding the knowledge of the ancient Greek and the Romans, and they were merging or comparing that with the knowledge from Indians and Chinese, and also coming up with their own innovation. This was how the education moving ahead, and they were started learning themselves. Until that, the only upper classes were getting education, and the clergyman who was educating the people in monasteries. Now education is moving out of the church. That's how the schools and universities started building up. Even we can see that the major universities were established in this period, that is the Oxford University in 12th century and Cambridge University in 13th century. Now let's see the literary works of this period. Know that The Old English literature mostly about the war and religious and also the day-to-day routines. But with addition to this, the Middle English literature occupies the kind of literature which called to be classified as romances. We need to understand romances in the sense it's not about the love literature or just not a love life between ordinary people, but it is also about the knights and their quest for countryly love and values of chivalry. In other words, I can say that knights and their adventures. Now, let's see the most popular poets of this period. Firstly, Geoffrey of Monmouth. His most important and notable work was Historia Regum Britannia, that means the history of the kings of Britain. Next, the Wace also known as Robert Wace. His important work was Roman the Brute, which was based on Geoffrey Monmouth's Historia Regum Britannia. Next, we can see Layamon. His work Brute is largely based on Roman the Brute by Wace. Many historians talk about the Layamon's Brute as his first voices in Middle English. Can be find that the usage of English language in less in conscious but more in colloquial. We can also see the usage of idioms and proverbs in his works. Next, Robert Manning of Brun. He was monk as well as chronicler. His works are Handling Sin and Manning's Chronicles. Handling Sin was the first conventional manual script in English and religious in nature. Manning's Chronicles consist of two parts and largely based on the history, and we can see mostly the translation of Old English period. Next, we can see another important work, that is Omulum, which was written by Om. The work Omulum, religious in nature, it traces the history of the English people from Roman conquest onwards, and it was one of the earliest work uses the poetic meter. Another fact is that most of the works were anonymous. Let's see the works. In 12th century or early 13th century, we can find the Owl and Nightingale poem. The poem is structured in quite innovative way. In the poem, a man overhears to the two birds, an owl and a nightingale, engaging in a heated debate on each other appearance and weaknesses. This might almost be a modern children's story. The Owl and Nightingale, it's the earliest example of debate poetry in English literature. There are 4 other popular poems done by anonymous but used to call Pearl or Gawain poet, because among these 4 poems, the finest one work came to be known as poet. The poems are Pearl, Purity, Patience, and Sir Gawain and Green Knight. Among these 4 poems, we can see 3 are religious in nature and another one work is written in Arthurian romances. Now let's see some prose works too. Firstly, Angrin Vies, which was written in 12th century. The work consists of 8 parts. Part 1 and 8 deals with exterior life of Anchises, while parts 2 to 7 deals with interior life of Anchises. Next, Iron Bite of Invite, which was translation of French work by Dan Meikle. It is a title of conventional prose work written in Kentish dialect of Middle English. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching this video. Will be continued in next video. Thank you.